Throughout this series, we're asking a massive, complicated question. Was the British Empire a source of pride, a cause of shame, or something way too complex for either answer? To even begin to figure that out, we have to look closely at the transatlantic slave trade. Now, we often hear massive statistics like 12.5 million people transported across the ocean, but honestly, numbers that huge can actually make it easy to lose sight of the daily human reality. So in this explainer, we're going to move completely past the statistics to ask one vital question. What did an enslaved person actually face when they woke up in the morning in the Caribbean? We're going to focus on the real people who lived, suffered, and fiercely resisted.
We've got a strict three-part journey today, tracing the daily story of enslaved people, exploring two fascinating historical facts about their legacy, and ending with a five-question knowledge check.
Part 1. The story. Real people, real lives. Let's step onto the plantation and look at the physical reality.
The absolute engine of the Caribbean plantation system was sugar. And the crucial point here is understanding the work itself. Unlike food crops that had seasons of planting and then seasons of rest, sugar production was a relentless, year-round cycle. The cane had to be planted, weeded, cut, and processed continuously. During the harvest, individuals were forced through incredibly dangerous 18-hour shifts. Picture this, cutting heavy cane with machetes in extreme tropical heat, and then boiling it in even hotter, highly dangerous conditions. The work was so exhausting and the conditions so brutal that on many Caribbean plantations, the life expectancy of a newly arrived enslaved person plummeted to just 7 years. It was deadly. And many enslavers coldly calculated that it was simply cheaper to buy new people than it was to improve their living conditions.
This brings us to a stark and essential truth about their legal status. Under the law, enslaved people were not considered human beings with rights. They were classified entirely as property. They could be bought, sold, or even used as collateral to secure bank loans. And because of this property status, enslavers deliberately separated families, tearing husbands from wives and mothers from their children. Now, this wasn't just accidental cruelty. It was a highly calculated tactic. By systematically destroying stable family and community bonds, enslavers aimed to completely crush their spirit and prevent the social connections needed for organized resistance.
But here is where we see an incredible story of human resilience. Because despite this systematic dehumanization, the culture of the enslaved people was never actually destroyed. It survived powerfully. They maintained their identities through work songs, drumming, distinctive religious practices, and newly formed Creole languages that blended African dialects with European words. And this cultural survival fueled constant, courageous resistance, because slavery was never, ever passively accepted. This resistance ranged from everyday acts of sabotage, like working slowly or breaking equipment, all the way to massive armed uprisings, like Tacky's War in Jamaica in 1760, where 400 enslaved people rose up to fight for their freedom. They completely refused to stop being human.
Moving on to part 2. Interesting facts. The legacy of survival.
Our first fact centers on a genuinely powerful triumph embedded in this tragedy. Meet Queen Nanny. She was an Asante woman who led the Maroons. These were communities of formerly enslaved people who had escaped deep into the Jamaican mountains. For decades, Queen Nanny used brilliant guerrilla tactics to completely defeat the British Army, ultimately forcing them to sign a peace treaty in 1740 that recognized her community's freedom. Today, she is the only woman among Jamaica's national heroes, and she proudly graces their $500 banknote. Just think about that. A woman the British Empire tried to destroy is now permanently honored on her country's currency.
Our second fact highlights how plantation survival directly shaped modern everyday life, especially in Britain. The food cultures created by enslaved people have given us enduring and deeply beloved culinary traditions. Jerk seasoning, which was actually developed by Maroon communities, rum distilled from sugarcane, patties, rice and peas, and ackee and saltfish all originate from this period. The culture created by enslaved people and conditions of extraordinary suffering didn't just survive, it adapted, endured, and completely transformed the world we live in today.
Finally, part 3. Let's jump into our knowledge check to lock in these vital historical facts.
Question 1. Why was sugar plantation work so particularly brutal? Is it A, the cane was very heavy, B, continuous year-round harvest with 18-hour shifts, C, it required night work, or D, it required highly specialized skills?
The correct answer is B, because unlike other crops, sugar production was a continuous, year-round cycle, pushing people through deadly 18-hour shifts in intense heat.
Moving on to question 2.
Why was family separation such a powerful tool of control for enslavers?
Was it A. Reduced food costs, B. Increased solitary productivity, C. Prevented organized resistance, or D. It was merely accidental?
The answer is C, since deliberately destroying family bonds robbed enslaved people of the stable community networks needed to organize effective resistance. Question 3. What is the immense historical significance of Queen Nanny of the Maroons?
Is it A. First legally freed woman, B. Led escaped communities and won a 1740 peace treaty, C. Led the Haitian Revolution, or D. First elected black woman?
The correct answer is B, as the brilliant Queen Nanny successfully fought the British military using guerrilla tactics for decades to secure a peace treaty. Let's look at question 4. How did enslaved people maintain cultural identity, despite the plantation system's constant attempts to destroy it?
Was it A. It was allowed freely, B. Through music, religious practice, and Creole languages, C. Secret writing, or D. Their culture was completely destroyed?
The answer is B, because they fiercely preserved their heritage through remarkable traditions like music, religious practices, and Creole languages.
Finally, question 5. Beyond armed revolt, what other everyday forms of resistance did enslaved people use?
Is it A, legal challenges, B, parliament petitions, C, working slowly, sabotaging equipment and running away, or D, passive acceptance?
The correct answer is C, proving through everyday sabotage and escapes that slavery was absolutely never passively accepted. So, looking back at our big series question, does this grim history, paired with the incredible survival of these cultures, make the British Empire a cause of shame, a source of pride, or something much more complicated? Think about that. Next time, Oludada Equiano, from enslaved child to best-selling author, the man who helped end the slave trade.